Hi, my name is Sarah Owen and this is my internship presentation video for Child 498R. I completed my internship at Leap Ahead Preschool and Daycare, which is located in Springville, Utah, just south of Provo. It's just run out of a home by a lady named Chrissy Muggleston, who graduated from BYU in child development. She runs the preschool in the basement of her home, and then she runs the daycare in the upper floors of her home, but I mostly just worked in the preschool for my internship. I found my internship through Craigslist, actually. Chrissy has taught the preschool out of her home for 9 years, and she was due with a baby this last October, just like a month and a half ago. And so she just posted on Craigslist that she wanted to take the year off so she could spend time with her baby and spend more time with her other children, and that she was looking to hire someone, and if someone needed the position as an internship, she would be willing to do that too. And so that was perfect. I emailed her, and she just explaining my situation, and she emailed me back and said, if you can come down to Springville, I would love to interview you. And so I went down that weekend and she interviewed me and I got the position. And it was paid, which was really nice because most internships are not paid. So my responsibilities were to teach preschool on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. And she really let me pick which mornings a week I wanted to do it, as long as it was 3 mornings a week. But I chose to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because that was easiest for me. And so my main responsibility was to obviously be the head preschool teacher, and I would create monthly calendars and just email them to her before the first day of the month, and she would get me any supplies I needed or anything like that. And she was really open on pretty much whatever themes I wanted to talk about. She really let me dictate and choose how I wanted to do things, and so that was really nice to have that freedom. And then my other main job was just to clean and sanitize the basement where preschool was held on Fridays after the class ended. I think that I benefited the preschool because I was able to bring a lot of fresh new ideas that she hadn't used before. She'd been the only teacher there for 9 years, and so to bring in someone new, I was able to bring in a lot of new songs and games and things like that that the children didn't know, and that was really fun to see them get excited over things that they hadn't done before. I think I was also able to benefit because I had a lot more time to plan lessons. Chrissy is a full-time mom, and she works in the daycare as well as the preschool. But since my main responsibility was just teaching in the preschool, I was able to put a lot more time into teaching and planning the lessons, and so I think that was really good for my benefit as well as for hers. And I think I benefited from teaching in several different ways. The only place I'd ever taught preschool before was in the child labs at BYU, Idaho, and I'd spent 3 semesters there, so I was pretty familiar with how the program ran. So it was a bit of a change to come to somewhere else. For starters, I was the only teacher in the classroom. I had anywhere from about 8 to 11 children every day. It just depended on who came. And there were other teachers upstairs in the daycare, so it wasn't like I was completely by myself if something were to go wrong, but I was the only one down in the preschool with the children. And so I really had to learn how to have good room awareness and to be able to see everything that was going on in the classroom. I also learned how to plan lessons a month at a time, and to be able to fulfill the head teacher role every day. When teaching at BYU Idaho, you would only teach anywhere from 3 to 8 times in a semester. And so I was a little nervous coming into this internship because I knew that I had to teach every day. But it was a lot easier than I expected. For one, my lesson plans were not as hard. Chrissy didn't give me a format for lesson plans. She just said, as long as you can kind of email me a calendar with basic activities you're doing for the day so that I know you're actually doing something, then that's sufficient. And so it was a lot easier. I was able to plan a whole month in the time it would have taken me to plan 1 lesson at BYU Idaho. But still, I did have to find a lot of new activities and teach on new themes that I hadn't taught on before, and so that stretched me a little bit, but it definitely helped me to grow as a teacher. I also learned how to be a lot more creative because she definitely has a lot less materials there than there was at BYU Idaho, and so I really had to learn how to work with what I was given and to be able to just use beautiful junk and things like that were already around me, rather than always going out and buying new things that she didn't necessarily have. A couple of things I did want to point out that were hard about the internship was definitely the limited materials. I was used to teaching at BYU Idaho where it was like world wide open, and we had so many different activities there, and so I had to learn how to work with just fewer materials, and that was a stretch at first. Another thing that was really hard for me is that just because Chrissy was so busy as a mom, she was never really available when I needed help with questions, and so I usually had to email her after I'd left the site. And I much rather would have preferred the face-to-face communications, but it was hard to catch her when she wasn't busy with her children or, taking children to school or whatever. Another thing that was hard is that she really didn't ever give me feedback on how I was doing. There was one time when she complimented me, on a certain activity I had done, but other than that, she really just never said anything about that I was doing well on or anything I needed to improve on, and that was hard for me because I was used to, when teaching at BYU Idaho, we'd have post-lab every day, and I would consistently hear things I needed to improve on and things that I was doing well at, and so here I really had to learn how to criticize myself and just kind of think back and reflect on the day when it was over and what I could have done better. And I think part of her reason for not giving feedback was that she is a mom and she's busy. It's just a very different environment. Yeah. Another thing that was really hard about the internship was that just because it was run out of a basement, it was a really bad classroom design, honestly. The way that it worked, the stairs kind of came down into the basement and the classroom circled around the stairs. And so because it was basically a circle design, no matter where I was standing, I could never see the entire classroom at once. And I was always worried that some child was going to get hurt when I wasn't watching, because they would be on the other side of the stairs. And luckily that never happened. But it was definitely hard because we were consistently taught that we need to have good room awareness in classes at BYU Idaho, and I'm physically not able to do that because of the classroom design here, and so I just have to consistently keep walking and counting children and making sure I always know where they are. I would definitely recommend this internship to others because even though it was harder and it's not quite as good of an environment as it was at BYU Idaho, I definitely learned a lot from it. But however, because I was only hired on for the year while Chrissy wanted to take time with her baby, I don't know if she's planning on hiring other interns in the future. And so it's definitely something you could look into because I'm sure she would be open to other options, although she hasn't specifically mentioned that to me. And so if you have questions, if you search for Leap Ahead Preschool and Daycare, her blog will come up and you can actually see a little more about what she does with the daycare portion of her business as well as the preschool.